The elevator doors opened, and Chanelle's heart stopped. Standing in the center of the penthouse lobby, surrounded by 6 men in black suits, was the man she had spent 10 years running from. Minho Park. His eyes locked onto hers, then dropped to the small hand clutching her dress. "Mommy," Hannah whispered, "why does that man have your wedding ring on his finger?" Minho's jaw tightened. His gaze traveled from the little girl's face to Chanelle's trembling lips, then back again. The child had his eyes. His mother's nose. His exact dimple on her left cheek. "Everyone out," he said quietly.
Everyone
No
out.
one moved fast enough. I said out. The men scattered like roaches under light. The elevator doors closed behind Chanelle and her daughter, trapping them in the lion's den. 10 years. Minho's voice was ice-wrapped in silk. "You disappear for 10 years, and you walk back into my building holding my daughter's hand?" "She's not," Chanelle started. "Don't." He took one step forward, and she instinctively pushed Hannah behind her. "Don't you dare stand there and lie to me. I know my own blood when I see it." Chanelle's chin lifted despite the terror clawing at her chest. "You didn't want blood. You didn't want family. You wanted a toy to parade in front of your father, and when you got bored, you found other toys to play with." The words hung in the air like smoke from a fired gun. Minho's expression flickered, something that almost looked like pain, before hardening again. "How did you get past security?" "I used my maiden name. They didn't recognize me." She swallowed hard. "I'm not here to cause trouble, Minho. I'm here because I have no other choice. Now, if this opening just made you lean closer to your screen, you're exactly where you need to be. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and tell me in the comments what time it is where you're watching and where you're tuning in from. I read every single comment, and I want to know who's joining me on this emotional journey. Now, let's get back into this story because it's about to get so much worse." Hannah peeked from behind her mother's hip. "Is he the bad man from your dreams? The one who makes you cry?" Minho flinched like he'd been slapped. "Baby, don't," Chanelle tried to quiet her daughter, but the damage was done. "You cry about me?" His voice had dropped, dangerous and soft. "You left. You took everything and vanished into thin air. If anyone should be crying. I took nothing." Chanelle's voice cracked. "I left with the clothes on my back and $300. You think I wanted to run? You think I wanted to raise a child alone in a country where I had nobody? Then why didn't you tell me you were pregnant?" "Because I didn't know." Her eyes burned with tears she refused to let fall. "I found out 6 weeks after I landed in Chicago. 6 weeks of sleeping on my cousin's couch, working double shifts at a diner, trying to figure out how to survive. And by then, I remembered exactly who you were. What you were. I wasn't going to bring my baby into that world." Minho's hands curled into fists at his sides. "My world. A world where you cheated on me 3 weeks after our wedding. A world where I walked in on you with your secretary on our anniversary. A world where you told your father I was just entertainment, and you'd dispose of me when the joke got old. I never meant." "I heard you, Minho." Her voice shattered on his name. "I heard every single word you said to him. Standing outside that door, wearing the dress I bought to surprise you, holding the pregnancy test I had just taken that morning. I heard you say I was nothing." Hannah tugged her mother's dress. "Mommy, can we go home now? I don't like it here." Chanelle knelt down, cupping her daughter's face. "We don't have a home anymore, baby. Remember? That's why we're here." "What do you mean you don't have a home?" Minho demanded. Chanelle stood slowly, her pride warring with her desperation. This was the part she had rehearsed 100 times on the bus ride here. The part where she would have to beg the man who destroyed her. "I lost my job 4 months ago. The landlord evicted us last week. I've been staying in shelters, but they don't let you stay more than 30 days, and I can't," her voice broke. "I can't keep doing this to her. She deserves stability. She deserves a future. So you came to ask me for money? No. Chanelle's next words came out barely above a whisper. I came to ask you to take her. The silence that followed was deafening. Minho stared at her like she had spoken in a language he couldn't understand. Take her, he repeated flatly. She's yours. She has your blood, your name, or she should have. She deserves the life you can give her. The schools, the safety, the opportunities. Chanelle's tears finally spilled over. I've tried everything, Minho. I've worked 3 jobs at a time. I've sold everything I own. I've skipped meals so she could eat. But I can't give her what she needs anymore, and I refuse to let her suffer because of my pride. And what about you? What about me? Minho took another step forward, close enough now that she could smell his cologne, the same one he wore 10 years ago. The scent hit her like a punch to the gut. Where do you go if I take her? Chanelle's smile was hollow, broken. Does it matter? You never cared where I went before. Chanelle. I'll sign whatever papers you need. I'll disappear again. But please, her voice crumbled. Please don't let my daughter grow up the way I did. She's innocent in all of this. She didn't ask to be born into this mess. Hannah started crying. Mommy, no. You said we'd always be together. You promised. Chanelle pulled her daughter into her arms, sobbing into her hair. I know, baby. I know I promised. But sometimes mommies have to break promises to keep their babies safe. I don't want to be safe. I want you. Minho watched them, this woman he had married as a joke, this child he never knew existed, and something inside him cracked. He remembered the day he first saw Chanelle, working at that hotel in Seoul where his father was hosting a business dinner. She had spilled wine on his shirt, and instead of cowering like everyone else did around him, she had looked him dead in the eye and said, maybe next time, don't stand so close to the wine. He had married her 3 months later. Told his father it was to humiliate the family, to prove he could do whatever he wanted. But the truth he had buried under pride and cruelty and the weight of his father's expectations, was that she had been the only real thing he'd ever touched. And he had destroyed her anyway. You're not leaving. Chanelle looked up, still clutching Hannah. What? You heard me. Minho's voice was rough. You're not leaving, and neither is she. You're both staying here. I don't want your charity. This isn't charity. He crouched down until he was eye level with Hannah, his expression softening in a way Chanelle had never seen before. Hello, little one. What's your name? Hannah sniffled, studying him with suspicious eyes. Hannah. It means flower in Korean. My mommy told me my daddy was Korean, so she wanted me to have a Korean name. Minho's breath caught. He looked up at Chanelle, and for the first time in 10 years, she saw the man she had foolishly fallen in love with, vulnerable, raw, completely undone. You named her Hannah? It was your grandmother's name. You told me about her once, when you were drunk. Said she was the only person who ever truly loved you. He stood abruptly, turning away so they wouldn't see his face. When he spoke again, his voice was thick. I have guest rooms. You'll stay there tonight. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow. Minho, I told you. And I told you. He turned back, his eyes blazing. You're not leaving. You walked back into my life after 10 years with my daughter, our daughter, and you think I'm just going to let you hand her over and disappear? What kind of man do you think I am? I know exactly what kind of man you are. Then you know I don't let go of what's mine. The words hung between them, loaded with a meaning neither was ready to address. Okay, pause. I need to know what you're thinking right now. Do you think Minho deserves a second chance? Or should Chanelle take her daughter and run as far as possible? Comment below, I'm reading everything. The first night was hell. Chanelle couldn't sleep, lying in a bed that cost more than every piece of furniture she'd ever owned combined, staring at the ceiling and wondering if she had made a terrible mistake. Hannah slept peacefully beside her, exhausted from crying. She had eventually warmed up to the penthouse when she discovered it had a room full of books and a TV bigger than their old apartment's living room wall. At 3 a.m, Chanelle heard a knock on her door. She opened it to find Minho, still in his suit, holding 2 cups of tea. "You can't sleep either," he said. It wasn't a question. "What do you want?" "To talk. Without our daughter between us." "Our daughter." The words hit differently in the quiet darkness. Chanelle stepped aside, letting him in. They sat on opposite ends of the small couch by the window, the city lights of Los Angeles glittering below them. "I looked for you," Minho said quietly. "After you left. I hired investigators, bribed officials, called in every favor I had. You vanished like smoke. I didn't want to be found. Because of what I said to my father." Chanelle's hands tightened around her teacup. "Because of everything. The women. The lies. The way you looked at me like I was nothing but a prop in your personal rebellion. I was a coward." The admission came out raw, like it had been trapped in his chest for years. "I was so busy fighting my father, proving I couldn't be controlled, that I used you as a weapon. And when you started to actually matter, when I started to feel something real, I panicked. I pushed you away the only way I knew how. By sleeping with other women?" He flinched. "I won't insult you with excuses. What I did was unforgivable. I know that. Then why are you telling me this?" "Because you deserve to know the truth." He set his tea down, running his hands through his hair. "After you left, I fell apart. My father saw it as an opportunity to take back control, and I let him. I spent 2 years drinking myself into oblivion, running the family business into the ground, destroying every relationship I had left. Am I supposed to feel sorry for you? No. I'm telling you this so you understand what happened next." He looked at her, his eyes haunted. "I went to therapy. I cut ties with my father. I rebuilt everything from scratch, legally this time. The Mafia connections, the illegal operations, I dismantled all of it. I spent 8 years trying to become someone worthy of the life I destroyed." Chanelle stared at him. "You expect me to believe you're not in the Mafia anymore?" "I expect you to believe nothing. But I can show you. Bank records, business registrations, tax documents. Everything is clean now. The empire I run is legitimate. Real estate, technology investments, restaurants. No more blood money. Why? Why change?" Minho's voice dropped to a whisper. "Because every time I closed my eyes, I saw your face. The way you looked at me the day you left. Like I had killed something inside you. And I realized that's exactly what I had done." Chanelle's tears fell before she could stop them. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to say beautiful things and expect me to forget what you put me through. I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking you to let me try. For her sake, if not for mine. I came here to give you my daughter and walk away, Minho. I came here to finally set her free from my failures. I didn't come here to..." "To what?" "To feel this." Her voice broke on the confession. "I don't want to feel anything for you. I spent 10 years building walls, and you're standing here with tea and apologies trying to tear them down. Good." He moved closer, close enough to touch but not crossing that line. "Tear them down. Be angry. Scream at me. Hit me if you need to. But don't leave again. Please. I can't lose you both twice. You never lost me the first time. You threw me away. I know." His forehead dropped to hers, their breath mingling in the darkness. "I know, and I will spend the rest of my life making it right if you let me. You can't fix 10 years of trauma with pretty words. Then let me fix it with actions. Stay. Let me prove I've changed. Let me be a father to Hannah. Let me..." He hesitated, then pushed forward. Let me love you properly this time. The way I should have from the beginning. Chanelle pulled back, her heart racing. I don't trust you. I know. I might never trust you again. I know that too. Then why are you even trying? Minho lifted his hand, gently wiping the tears from her cheek. Because you came back. After everything I did, after a decade of silence, you came back. That has to mean something. It means I'm desperate. Maybe. Or maybe some part of you remembered that before I ruined everything, we were happy. Even if just for a moment. Chanelle closed her eyes, transported back to their honeymoon in Jeju Island. Minho had held her on the beach at sunset, whispering promises she thought he meant. She had believed him then. She had believed in forever. And he had shattered it all. 1 week, she said finally. I'll stay 1 week. For Hannah's sake. But the moment you slip, the moment I see even a glimpse of the man you used to be, I'm gone. And this time, you'll never find us. Fair enough. The week turned into 2. Then 3. Minho was relentless in his pursuit, not with grand gestures, but with small ones. He learned Hannah's favorite breakfast foods and made them himself every morning. He read her bedtime stories with different voices for each character. He took Chanelle to her favorite coffee shop from their old life, the one she thought he never noticed her mentioning. How did you know about this place? She asked, stunned. You told me about it once. Said your grandmother used to take you here when you were little, before she passed. You said the chai latte here tasted like home. That was one conversation. 7 years ago. I remember everything you ever told me, Chanelle. I just didn't act like I did. She didn't know what to do with this version of him, attentive, present, desperate to make amends. It would have been easier if he had stayed a villain. Villains were easy to hate. But every night, she heard him reading to Hannah. Every morning, she found fresh flowers on her nightstand, always her favorites, always arranged the way she liked them. Every look he gave her was heavy with apologies he knew words couldn't carry. On the 21st day, everything changed. His father showed up. The old man stood in the penthouse lobby, flanked by 2 men who still had that dangerous edge Chanelle remembered too well. So the rumors are true, the elder Park said, his lip curling as he looked at Chanelle. The entertainment is back. Chanelle's blood turned to ice. But before she could respond, Minho stepped between them, his body a shield. Get out. Is that how you speak to your father? You stopped being my father the day you tried to have my wife killed. The words hit Chanelle like a freight train. What? Minho's jaw tightened, but he didn't look at her. His eyes stayed locked on his father. Did you think I wouldn't find out? The men you sent after her when she landed in Chicago. The accident you arranged that she barely survived. I don't know what you're. I have proof. Recordings. Documents. Everything I needed to destroy you 10 times over. Minho's voice was deadly calm. The only reason you're not in prison right now is because sending you there would expose Chanelle and Hannah to the kind of attention that would put them in danger. But if you ever come near my family again, I will burn everything you've built to the ground. And then I will bury you in the ashes. The old man's face twisted with fury. You would choose her over your own blood? She is my blood. She and Hannah are the only family I have. For a long moment, the 2 men stared at each other. Then, with a barely perceptible nod to his guards, the elder Park turned and left. When the elevator doors closed, Chanelle grabbed Minho's arm. He tried to kill me? That car accident, the one that put me in the hospital for 2 weeks, that was him? Minho finally turned to face her, and she saw the guilt written across every feature. I found out 3 years ago. One of his former men was dying and wanted to clear his conscience. By then, you were long gone, and my father thought he had one. He took her hands in his. I should have known then. I should have protected you. Instead, I was too blind, too stupid. Stop. Chanelle's mind was reeling. You didn't know. I should have suspected. He hated our marriage. He made that clear from the beginning. I was so focused on rebelling against him that I didn't see how dangerous he was to you. And the cheating? Was that him too? Minho's face crumbled. No. That was all me. I can't blame him for my own weakness. But I can tell you that it was never about those other women. It was about sabotaging my own happiness because I didn't think I deserved it. That's not an excuse. I know. It's just the truth. Chanelle didn't know when she started crying again. She didn't know when his arms wrapped around her, pulling her close. She didn't know when she stopped fighting it. But somewhere in that moment, something inside her began to heal. Listen, we're getting close to the end of this story, and I don't want you to miss a single update. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Hit that button, turn on notifications, and make sure you're here for every emotional story I bring you. Now let's finish this together. 3 months later, Chanelle stood on the balcony of the penthouse, watching Hannah play in the garden below. The little girl was laughing, truly laughing, for the first time in years. Minho came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. She didn't pull away. She's happy, he murmured. She is. Are you? Chanelle turned in his arms, studying the face she had once loved, then hated, and now, something in between. I'm getting there. I'll take it. He kissed her forehead. I have something for you. Minho, you've already given me. It's not a gift. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was her original wedding ring, the one she had left behind a decade ago. I've been carrying this for 10 years, he said quietly. Every day. It's been in my pocket through every meeting, every sleepless night, every moment I spent wishing I could go back and do everything differently. Why? Because I always hoped you'd come back. And I promised myself that if you ever did, would spend the rest of my life earning the right to put this back on your finger. Chanelle stared at the ring, emotions warring inside her. I don't know if I'm ready. That's okay. I'm not asking you to marry me again. I'm asking you to let me keep trying. However long it takes. However many years you need. I'll be here. She looked up at him, this man who had destroyed her and then rebuilt himself just to have a chance at redemption. He wasn't perfect. He might never be. But he was trying. Every single day, he was trying. Keep the ring, she said finally. Keep carrying it. His face fell slightly. Okay. But, she took a breath. Ask me again in a year. The hope that lit up his eyes was almost painful to witness. Really? A year. And if you're still the man you've been these past 3 months, if you're still showing up for Hannah, still showing up for me, then yes. I'll marry you again. He lifted her off her feet, spinning her around on the balcony until she laughed despite herself. Mommy. Daddy. Look, I caught a butterfly. They looked down at their daughter, their beautiful, innocent daughter who had brought them back together against all odds. We're looking, baby girl, Minho called down. Don't let it go. He looked at Chanelle, his eyes wet with tears he didn't bother hiding. I won't, he whispered. Never again. 1 year later, under the same cherry blossom tree where they had first kissed in Seoul all those years ago, Chanelle let Minho place the ring back on her finger. Hannah stood between them, holding both their hands, grinning from ear to ear. And for the first time in 10 years, Chanelle finally believed in forever again.